of them is definitely my current idol. Either as an individual organization, they all serve as a catalyst in their own industry, community and people's leader, visionaries and philanthropists, advocacy of sustainable effort for this generation, the generation before them, as well as generation in the future. Allow me to introduce to you our first keynote address speaker, invited as the Chairman of Construction Industry Development Board, Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Dr. Ahmad Tajuddin Ali. Okay, I'll talk about Tan Sri's credentials, if you may allow me a couple of minutes. Okay, then Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri, please come on stage to share with us your keynote address.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We have had the formal part. I want to try to be a little bit informal. Before I go into my paper proper, maybe I just like to welcome all the foreign delegates. And let me start by saying that I know they have written almost my life history in the. I was surprised to read it myself. But when it comes to CIDB, I have a little bit of history because it started off 20 years ago, but forget about the beginning. But February of last year, next February will be 2 years, I was invited by the minister to chair CIDB. And one of the first things that was before me was a paper to have CIMP 2, Construction Industry Master Plan 2, because we have had Construction Industry Master Plan 2010 to 2015. Then we started deliberating on it, and we worked on CIMP 2. Then I had to chair the main steering committee. Then made a briefing to the minister. And by then we have decided not to make it as a CIDB initiative, but to upgrade it into a government initiative. And the minister said that CIMP 2, people will be asking what happened to CIMP 1. Where are we? So it was decided to rename it as CIDB, Construction Industry Transformation Plan. And we wanted it to be a government document rather than a CIDB document. So we had to take through the government process. It had got to be adopted first by the ministry as a ministry initiative, and then minister take it to government, to cabinet, and it was approved. And so we have what I'm going to present this morning for the foreign delegates. Maybe it is something you may just want to know what the initiative. This is a Malaysian initiative for Malaysia, for Malaysian companies, and for the locals, it is part of our initiative to explain and to get buy-in from all the stakeholders and finally everybody, Malaysian, about this CIDB. So it is my pleasure to be invited to speak this morning, And let me first offer my congratulations to CRIM and all its partners for organizing this big conference and successfully attract top industry minds and stakeholders to share ideas and achievements and best practices. I'm confident that your presence here at CIRAIC 2015 will enable you to obtain the latest information on sustainability as well as latest development on the Malaysian construction industry, and in particular with regards to construction industry transformation program, which is, as I said, the topic of my speech today. As most of you are aware, especially local, the CIDB was launched on 10th September by the Prime Minister in conjunction with our International Construction Week 2015. CIDB was initiated, as I said, in 2014 by the Ministry of Works through CIDB, and it is a 5-year program covering the period from 2016, which is next year, to 2020. As you can see from this photograph, I was not present at the historic launch by the Prime Minister. Just a few days before this date, I was supposed to be there. I was supposed to be one of those people standing there, doing something on stage. But then, just a few days before that, I came back from the Middle East, from a meeting in Dubai, and I had fever, and I went to hospital. They decided to detain me because I just came back from the Middle East, so they thought it was MERS. But I don't remember kissing any camels, but that's beside the point. And it was diagnosed as influenza A, so I was in hospital for about 4 days. I have a free, is it a 5-day, 4-night stay in the hospital, Sandabi Hospital, and this launch took place. So I missed that one, but as I said, I was very happy that to have brought from the initial CIMP2 document, as it were, chairing the steering committee and then taking it through government to get it approved and to get the Prime Minister to agree to come and launch the actual document. So this is what it was about. CITP was formulated through a series of engagement with more than 150 government agencies, research institutions and industry players. It was over a year of consultation with literally all the stakeholders in this country through the various industry associations and so on, with the goal of addressing existing roadblocks in the construction industry while paving the way for a more modern, sustainable and productive sector overall. The tagline for the CIDP is indeed very appropriate, driving construction excellence together. The CIDP is recognized as an important focus and strategy within the 11th Malaysia Plan. It is aimed at propelling the construction industry forward to meet the demands of the marketplace. The critical role of the construction industry is documented under Chapter 8, Focus Area D of the 5-year 11th Malaysia Plan, which is the last leg towards achieving our high-income developed nation status as envisaged under Vision 2020. As we know, the construction industry is one of the key sectors crucial for the growth of the Malaysian economy. I would like to share with you some key context of the industry. For 3 consecutive years, from 2012, 2013 and 2014, the construction industry has experienced a robust double-digit growth. With many construction projects identified under the 11th Malaysia Plan, the construction industry is expected to continue growing annually at around 10.3% up to 2020, with an average of 5.5% contribution to GDP. The industry is large, with more than 500 billion in project value during the current 10th Malaysia Plan from 2011 to 2014, growing at some 8% per annum. In terms of workforce, the construction industry provides significant employment opportunities to a registered workforce of about 1.2 million workers, representing 9.5% of the country's total workforce, of which 75% are residents. In addition to the construction workers, this figure also includes professionals such as architects, engineers, and quantity surveyors. The significance of the industry will continue to evolve and become increasingly critical as Malaysia moves towards becoming a developed nation. What makes the construction even more crucial to the economy is its multiplier effect. We estimate that more than 120 industrial sectors and subsectors rely on construction for their growth and sustainability. With a healthy construction industry, all these industries can prosper alongside the construction sector. Going forward, major projects planned make construction even more critical as our country further develops towards a high-income status. We are building more advanced infrastructures, all of which will underscore the need for more effective and efficient construction sector. Today, we are already seeing intense demand for infrastructure development, such as the Sabah and Sarawak Borneo Highway, as well as a more efficient urban transportation, such as the Klang Valley Mass Rapid Transit or KVMRT project. This rise in demand will in turn require construction players and workforce to continually raise their capabilities. However, we have to admit that some real and substantial issues still persist in the construction sector, despite many initiatives and programs being implemented over the years. Our construction industry has enjoyed healthy growth rates and has made good progress on several fronts. There are urgent issues to be addressed in the construction sector across the 4 strategic thrusts as identified under CIDB. And these are quality, safety and professionalism, environmental sustainability, productivity and internationalization. Each of these strategic thrusts seeks to transform the industry and change the way it is being perceived. Allow me to elaborate each of these thrusts briefly. First, the CIDB aims to achieve quality, safety and professionalism that must eventually be ingrained in the industry's practice and culture at all levels. Today, there are limited emphasis on construction quality. For example, for the purchasing public, buying a house often involves their entire life saving, because it is no doubt involves substantial investment. As such, poor construction quality will affect their investment and their living standards. Low construction quality should no longer be tolerated. At the moment, only 3% of construction projects are being assessed for quality. We need to improve on this. On safety, high occupational death in construction, averaging 70 deaths per year since 2012, is among the highest compared to other industries. There must be clarity on who is responsible, who is the responsible party or parties, to ensure that there is safety with zero tolerance for accidents at construction sites. Today, there is limited integration of health and safety aspects in the work culture. This has to improve. In terms of doing business, there is still significant regulatory and administrative burden when obtaining construction permits. In 2014, statistics show that approvals of construction permits take more than 74 days in Malaysia compared to just 26 days in Singapore. This can adversely impact business efficiency and on investments, and hence impacts on the ability for the economy to grow faster. We need to further improve on the efficiency of processing permits and applications. The CIDB introduced 4 initiatives to improve quality, safety and professionalism. These are as stated there on the slide just now. The outcome targeted under the Quality, Safety and Professionalism Trust to be achieved by 2020 includes to have more than 50% of public projects exceed acceptable CIRAIC score. More than 50% reduction in worksite fatalities and injuries, and an improvement by 5 percentage points in the World Bank's ease of doing business indicator in dealing with construction permits. Productivity is another primary engine for growth towards Malaysia's high income target, and as an important strategic thrust that aims to more than double the productivity in the construction industry, matched by higher wages. Productivity issues still plague the construction industry, and this needs to be addressed. There are largely unskilled workforce and inadequate and mismatch in training and development. Overall, 40% of the local workforce in the industry is still unskilled, and this is compounded by the larger 90% of the foreign construction workers in the construction sector who are general workers with few or no recorded skills. Training and development of the construction workers and personnel in the construction industry still has much room for improvement. Malaysia still has a low take-up rate on industrialized building systems or IBS in construction sector. Only 24% of public projects worth more than 10 million ringgit and above have achieved IBS score of 70, a far reach from the intended 100% take-up rate. Despite Ministry of Finance circular mandating it. Over and above this, the construction industry lends importance to a sizable pool of entrepreneurial activity. There is a high proportion of subscale SMEs, including Bumiputera SMEs and entrepreneurs. The construction industry is one that is highly fragmented, with subscale SMEs collectively accounting for 90% of the total contractors, while large contractors make up the remaining 10%. In addition, Bumiputera firms account for 56% of the construction industry, and of these, 2/3 are in the G1 category. This prevents them from investing in high capital intensive modern construction methods and technology. The CIDB aspires to tackle these productivity issues through 6 initiatives, P1 to P6. Under P2, for example, it is recommended that regular manpower planning be established to reduce the mismatch between labor demand and supply. Additionally, a tiered visa program is recommended for the consideration to increase the proportion of high-skilled foreign labor entering Malaysia. It is hoped that this would help to tilt the balance towards higher-skilled workforce in the country and improve on the overall productivity of the industry. The CIDB takes the opportunity to increase the reach, effectiveness and comprehensiveness of the training and development for workers, personnel and professional in the industry to reach world-class level through continued investment in human capital development in the construction sector. To increase skill level and specialization, there will be emphasis on specialist apprentice program. Key areas of enhancement will be to conduct curricular reviews and development of improved curricula and training material to ensure that the content is streamlined and up to date with industry development and requirements. Efforts will be made to increase the quality of trainers and training providers through train-the-trainer programs in collaboration with world-class experts and partner organizations. In driving scale of IBS adoption, the CIDB recommends the separation of IBS procurement from the main contract for public projects to improve uptake and economic mechanism be introduced to help improve the economic viability of IBS and encourage further mechanization by manufacturers. Under the productivity thrust, the target is to achieve 2.5 times increase in productivity from $6,600 to $7,000 16,500 or roughly 61 or 62,000 ringgit as stated in the 11th Malaysia Plan. Through the CIDB Trust on Internationalization, Malaysian construction industry champions will be nurtured so that they will lead the charge both locally and globally. Under internationalization, we need to create more Malaysian companies who can hold ground against foreign competitors. Malaysia needs to be ready for greater competition and scrutiny under the FTAs that are planned, including the TPPA. This is because the CIDB statistics show that domestically we are also losing market share to foreign companies from 12% in 2012 to 22% in 2014. In terms of value, 88% of the projects in 2012 were by local contractors, but this figure has dropped to 78% in 2014. Alarming statistics also show that internationally there is a 70% decrease in the value of overseas projects awarded to local contractors. In 2011, our contractors secured some 5.8 billion worth of projects, 5.8 billion ringgit worth of projects abroad. This figure shrunk to a mere ringgit 200 million in 2014. Highlighted recommendations under internationalization include 3 core initiatives, that is, internationalize construction practice and standards, strengthen access to financing for local Malaysian champions in going abroad, and support consortia formation and strengthen overseas market intelligence. And my apologies that immediately after presenting my paper, maybe halfway through Dr. Johari's paper, I have to leave because the minister is chairing a meeting exactly on this third bullet, support the consortia formation and strengthen overseas market intelligence. This is out of his recent visit to India, and there are certain proposals being made by our Indian counterparts, and the minister would like to seize on this opportunity, so he has called for an immediate meeting. So since I was with him in India, this part of it, I need to be there too. CIDB recommends strengthening access to financing for eligible construction-related companies going abroad. Consortia synergies will be fostered under the SME in order for SMEs to acquire the skill and to compete effectively alongside larger players. For key outcomes under the internationalization, it is targeted that the measures put forward will develop more than 10 companies that will have high 5-star score rating, increasing from the current 3, with 50 companies qualifying for the new G8 status. It is also expected that at least 10 more construction-related companies will be able to export their services overseas. In terms of sequence, the Trust on Environmental Sustainability, as you can see earlier, is the second strategic trust under CIDB. However, for the purpose of today's discussion, I have intentionally delayed this topic to be discussed as the 4th and final trust under CIDB, simply because this topic relates to the focus of today's conference. Sustainability is increasingly recognized by companies, investors, and governments as a key to long-term health and well-being of society and the environment. It is also an important trust under the 11th Malaysia Plan. Measures under CIDB will guide Malaysia to become a model for emerging world in terms of sustainable infrastructure. There are 3 specific issues identified to be addressed under the Environmental Sustainability Trust. First, there is the lack of sustainability-related construction where buildings and infrastructure are not always resilient to natural calamities. In Malaysia, less than 2% of buildings and infrastructure are rated for environmental sustainability. The country has been subjected to a number of natural disasters in recent years, including the recent floods. When our buildings and infrastructures are not resilient to these disasters, we suffer substantial damages and incur high costs for repairs and rebuilding. This situation cannot be mitigated, and the need for an overarching policy and regulations in this area is an important starting point. Secondly, there is a high carbon emission and energy usage in buildings, with Malaysia's GDP per CO2 ration among the lowest at USD 1,500, while it is USD 3,000 in Turkey and USD 3,700 in Singapore. Hence, for the same level of CO2 emission in Malaysia, Malaysia is producing less economic output. Thirdly, there is high volume of construction and demolition waste dumping, up to 40%. The Malaysian construction industry also needs to be cautious of generating significant amount of waste. This construction waste will add to the problem of rapidly depleting capacity of landfills in Malaysia, which in turn affects the environment. To address these issues and more, the Environmental Sustainability Trust recommends 5 initiatives, which are: 1. Drive innovation in sustainable construction. 2. Drive in compliance to environmental sustainability ratings and requirements. Next is focus on public projects to lead the charge on sustainable practices. Then facilitate industry adoption of sustainable practices and reduce irresponsible waste during construction. The CIDB calls for the establishment of a Center of Excellence that will be a research platform to develop, promote and raise sustainable practices. A sustainable infrastructure rating tool will be developed in conjunction with the ZOFNAS program for sustainable infrastructure at Harvard University Graduate School of Design that will apply to large infrastructure projects. At this moment, the rating tool that is being developed will be applied to 2 pilot projects identified that are, which are the Duke Highway 3 and by EcoVest, and the West Coast Expressway by IGM Construction. To reduce irresponsible waste during construction, the CIDB will elaborate on, together with Kementerian Kesejahteraan Bandar, Perumahan dan Kerjaan Tempatan, which is the Ministry of Urban Welfare, Housing and Local Government. That's my overcast translation, which is correct. To build more recycling plants and heighten enforcement against illegal dumping, along with the introduction of a taxation mechanism on excessive waste. In driving compliance to environmental sustainability requirements, the CIDB recommends sustainability requirements to be undertaken into account within the procurement process for public buildings and infrastructure for key ministries as a leading example for the industry. The targeted outcome of the environmental sustainability will not only ensure all large infrastructure projects to exceed defined sustainability requirements, but also support the nation's goal to reduce the industry's carbon emission by 4 million tons per year. Although the main theme of today's conference is on sustainable development, the topics to be discussed by speakers actually touch on all the trusts under the CIDB. Let us take the mechanization, industrialization as an example. The CIDB, through its trust on productivity, aims to accelerate the adoption of IBS, mechanization and modern practices so as to place the country's construction industry in a good state in achieving continuous growth while providing a good foundation for construction players to expand internationally. Despite the initial goal of the trust to enhance the overall efficiency of the industry, the outcomes are inevitably leading to industry towards greater sustainability. As we know, the use of IBS assures valuable advantages such as reduction of unskilled workers, less wastage and less volume of building material, increased environmental and construction site cleanliness, and better quality control. Besides, it offers benefit to adopters concerning cost and time certainty, attaining better construction quality and productivity, reducing risks related to occupational safety and health, elevating issues on skilled workers and dependency on manual foreign labor, and achieving the ultimate goal of reducing overall construction cost of construction. Towards this end, the country's construction industry will achieve a state of sustainable through the stimulation brought by the IBS implementation. Another example is to drive adoption of BIM, Building Information Management in Malaysia, as stated in the first thrust of the CIDB. For years, the country's construction was an analog world where buildings were designed and planned using traditional two-dimensional drawing with errors or miscalculations sometimes only discovered once the structure was already forming on the ground. The adoption of BIM is critical because construction correct information sharing will enable all the stakeholders to conduct their daily tasks with higher efficiency, more sustainable, and less environmental degradation as possible. More importantly, it can transform the construction industry through integrating information and collaboration of all the stakeholders, leading to a delivery of more innovative and cost-efficient buildings, as well as commissioning of buildings with lower environmental impact. Apparently, it is one of the core topics for discussion during CIRAIC 2015, which is again in line with the thrust of CIDB and productivity while striving for sustainability as an ultimate goal. One more example is the building of affordable housing. The challenge of today's affordable housing is to reduce the construction costs while meeting consumers' various needs for housing quality. Since the cost is the primary determinant of affordable housing development, coupled with the fact that land acquisition and the construction costs that are not likely to fall in the future, the regulations restricting affordable housing development are not likely to become less burdensome. Quality is often one of the few components to be traded off for cost-effective strategy in affordable housing development. Consequently, most of the affordable housing projects are able to provide adequate and affordable housing that meets the minimal shelter requirement but fall short of offer for mass population on a sustainable accommodation. However, changes privacy, space, and use requirements and lifestyle. These trends, overlaid with the demand for better environmental performance, suggest the need for an affordable housing design which is not only capable of lowering down the initial and life cycle costs, but also making affordable housing an attractive and sustainable option for the mass population. Therefore, a good quality design is essential in responding to evolving social behavior and striking to take advantage of technology in the housing production process through integrating housing design with industrial construction system. Finally, I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate CRIM and all its research collaborators by putting great effort in initiating research on developing affordable and sustainable housing for middle-income groups in Malaysia through divergent dwelling design architectural concept. This research aims to address existing affordable housing challenges by proposing a good quality design that not only can reduce construction and life cycle costs, but also maintain the livability of the building. It is the first design system that fully adopts prefabrication concept and passive design that suits to the country's tropical climate and actual construction practice. The divergent dwelling design makes use of open plan design concept and the IBS construction method to produce a variety of housing design options that will meet possible user requirements not yet identified at the design stage. While maintaining principal uniformity to facilitate the execution of simple but accurate construction with minimal initial cost. The initial construction cost can be contained by having a design which is simple enough so that costs on labor involvement and material usage can be saved, while the reduction in life cycle costs are enabled through a design that allows for future changes to be made easily, cheaply and friendly to incorporate any new technology. Also, good design can help achieve the sustainability of the building as it constrains the life cycle cost by utilizing passive design strategy. To the end, the divergent dwelling design not only stimulates the development of housing industry towards mechanization, modernization and industrialization, but also aim for Malaysia's environmentally sustainable construction to be a model for the emerging world, a goal that is in line with the thrust of CIDB. Ladies and gentlemen, I am confident and happy that all the thrusts of the CIDB are fully addressed by CIRAIC 2015. Therefore, I strongly believe that this conference can help in promoting Malaysia as a regional hub for sustainable construction, as well as to establish research partnership and collaboration among industry players all around the world. In today's CIRAIC 2015, worldwide industry experts will be sharing their thoughts on sustainable construction. It is a very good opportunity for our local industry players to exchange ideas and establish their networking with the worldwide partners so that they can be the champion to drive the growth of the construction industry and to help in developing the adjacent sectors such as manufacturing sector for building material and supplies, as well as professional services providers including financial services and the like. This is again stipulated in the thrust of CIDB on competitiveness. I look forward to CIRAIC 2015 and providing new ideas and partnership in the spirit of our strategic thrust of the CIDB. As a conclusion, it is now up to all stakeholders from both public and private sectors, from government ministries and regulators, to industry players, professional bodies and academia, to come together, collaborate and make a difference in this transformation. This is in tandem with the tagline for CIDB that is driving construction excellence together. Together, we can and will transform the industry, contribute to the economy and help ensure overall well-being of the nation. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum.